Good afternoon, my Facebook friends, and to those of you watching it on the replay. So today's topic, you don't know how it feels. Do you really know how it feels? I want us to think about this for a minute. Too often, we are now out there telling everyone else how to act based on how we feel, without for 1 second thinking about that person. We are selfishly thinking about ourselves and selfishly trying to give them advice based on what we feel or we think should be done. So I wanted to cover today's topic. Thanks for joining, Nazim, John, and Nicole. Good to see you, Nicole. It's been a while since I've seen you. Cheryl, it looks like Rhonda has joined. I thank you all for joining. I want to cover, again, I'm doing this week, and I had a lot of them lined up yesterday, but unfortunately I ran out of internet. My internet broke, and I could not get online yesterday. So I'm going to be finishing them up through the week. So I decided to spread them out through the week. I have several of them that I've written. They're all Tom Petty song theme based. And every one of them has a message. And the message is about not only the song, and yes, it is a tribute to the song, but it is me taking a rock and roll type message and applying it to the world, which is how my blog started. So today's message is, you don't know how it feels. So I really wanted to think about this because too often we are out there trying to tell the world how we feel and that they should feel the same way as us. So I've outlined about 6 or 7 things. And again, you know me, I write the notes and I speak and we see what comes out. So this part here is not rehearsed. The guideline is rehearsed because I kind of put a guideline to keep me on track. So Elaine, thanks for joining. So be sure to do me a favor. If these inspire you, please share these out because I usually ask a question at the end and I'd love your answer on the question. So I want you to share these out with your friends. I'm going to put this on YouTube once it's done, and then I will be sharing it over on my blog as well. So, and unfortunately, you guys, I have to put the glasses on to read your comments. I know it's been a while. I saw you live, and I figured I'd jump in. Yes, Nicole. Yeah, let's chat, Nicole, because I've been missing you, and I really would love to chat with you again. So, let's talk about this. You don't know how it feels, because too often, as I said in the beginning, we are all doing everything we can to act on what we feel and not on others. In other words, we have never taken the time to walk a mile in our fellow man's shoes before we start pointing fingers at them and telling them how they are wrong and we are so right. So, number one topic I want to go, now that it has been more than 48 hours since it has happened, is if you use the past 48 hours on the Vegas thing to take and broadcast about your hidden agenda or your agenda or whatever thing that you're doing or whatever beliefs, if you've used that in the past 48 hours, you are one of the biggest problems in America today. Yes, I said that right. If you used what went on in Vegas in the past 48 hours to push your agenda or something that bothers you or you think that needs to be done politically or whatever, you are the problem. Sorry if it hits you in the heart, but that's the truth. At a time like that, we do not need 48 hours after it to start pushing our agenda about what we think needs to be changed in America today without even knowing the story. We still don't know really what happened in Vegas, as is evident today with many of the people who are broadcasting now and saying, hey, it took more than one person to shoot. Really, if you kind of, and there's all kinds of different stories coming out. And I'm on the media side here. I don't know what to believe yet. I can believe CNN, Fox, CBS, NBC, but they've been proven to lie before. So I am not going to state the facts on what's going on. I don't know. However, taking that idea and pushing my agenda on something that may not even relate to my agenda is totally wrong, and that creates a problem in America. And if you are doing that, you are the problem, not the media, not the agenda, not the laws. It's you. Go fix you and shut up about how the world should be you. Just saying. So we need to stop actually taking this idea, all right, and sharing everything what we believe about something. When something like this happens, it's a tragedy. We need to stop, pray, do something to help. You know, Houston was a great example to that. When something tragic happened that was not caused by man, but was caused by God, people jumped out to help. That's what we do. That's what Americans do. We go help. We stick our face out there. We stick our arms in. We stick our legs in. We stick our body in. You know what I mean? We take our pickup trucks and help. There are going to be stories that come out of this Vegas thing of people helping that the news media is never going to pick up. You're going to have to see it on someone's private feed, because there's stories out there of people putting their personal vehicles out there, people putting themselves in the line of fire, people out there trying to help others when they weren't even family, people who held people's strangers' hands while they died. That's America, ladies and gentlemen, not this idea that we need to push our agenda. So let's move on to our next one. The next thing is something that I'm going to try not to do, because the previous statement I just made kind of can go into it. So before you think that I'm somebody doing this, I still have fingers pointing back at myself. There's shit I need to fix in my own life, and I get it. All right? And that is, we need to stop fighting with people online about our beliefs. Stop it. You're not going to solve the problem. We have people out there now, within 48 hours of this incident in Vegas, talking about gun control. Ladies and gentlemen, you can fight over gun control all you want. If you've never owned a gun, fired a gun, picked up a gun, all right, you coming out and telling those law-abiding gun owners that they need to change the way they do things is not going to solve the problem. It's not about gun control. Flip side, you people who are gun control, you're not going to convince the people who've never owned a gun that they need to let you keep owning a gun. Okay, it's a fight. Nobody wins in the fight, guys. Face it. That's the way it happens, all right? You're not in the shoes of them, and you don't know how it feels to be them. So it goes for the gun owner who is legally and the non-gun owner who is pointing at the legal gun owner. The problem's not the guns. The problem is that there are criminals and evil people in the world. And we need to stop pointing at the fixtures that are standing on the wall and start pointing at the criminals. New laws is not going to fix this. Old laws is not going to fix this. Doing something about the criminal element in our world today is the only thing. I don't have the answer. That's the only thing I can tell you is a criminal element that needs to be stopped. We need to find a way to stop it. So, fighting with people online because they have a different belief for you is not going to change their opinion. All right? That would be like my friends who are Christians who are out there totally blasting the atheist and telling them how they're wrong. I can believe all day long, I am a Christian, I can believe all day long that the atheist is wrong. He is not going to hear me when all I do is ram down his fucking throat about how wrong he is. He don't care. All right? His beliefs are different than mine. Stop trying to tell them they're wrong. They don't care. They immediately, I'm going to point back at you like I did earlier with the wrong thing. All right? It's not going to happen. So quit fighting with people online over this. All right? The media is just out there planting stories to get you to fight. And until you are smart enough to stand back and take a look at both sides, you're never going to see this. Which brings me to the next point. A couple years ago, I did a video. You can look it up. I did a video and I did a blog post on it. It's called That's It, I Quit. And I talked about so many things that were wrong in America and how basically from looking at what was going on in America, all right, we're sitting there pointing fingers at everybody. And I talked about things like gay rights. I talked about things like, gay weddings. I talked about, all kinds of weird stuff that was going on. And if you go back and watch that video, almost all of that stuff is irrelevant today. It was relevant 3 years ago or so when I made it. So you see, right now, the things that you are fighting about will be irrelevant in 6 months. Because the news media is going to throw something else in your face to get you fighting with someone else. And again, that's not America. All right? And in case you wonder, all right, those people who are actually my Christian friends know this, but if you're not Christians, if you ever follow anything in the Christian Bible, okay, and you check the book of Revelation, America ain't in there, ladies and gentlemen. So, the more you fight, the sooner you watch this wonderful country that I love, all right, come to its end. Because all they have to do is divide us. We will divide and fall from it within. All right? My opinion, You can either stand up and join together with your fellow American who you disagree with, but love the fact that you can be in a country where you can disagree, or you can keep fighting one another and watch the very country that allows you to fight one another be gone. Wake up, figure that out. So, with that being said, go check it out because I've done a couple other ones online a couple years ago too, all right? It was called That's It, I Quit. I did it in a video and a blog post and everything, kind of like I'm doing with these now. So, with that being said, all right, when you actually stop out and pull out from something and actually take a look at the black and white, the whole picture, you can see a whole different story. That's why I can actually take things from a neutral perspective because I know my beliefs. And I know now from standing back what the perspective of the other person is the opposite belief and why they believe it. Because I've taken a look at the whole picture. That's the way it goes. So with that being said, I've also done things over the years like, take a look in the mirror. That's the problem. All right, look at some of those. But I'm not here to pitch all my old videos. I am going to bring up this next one. And Christy, I'm sorry. I've seen it on your timeline. And if you take offense when you see this, I am sorry. But I thought this needs to be said. Was my friend Christy, a great friend of mine here in Texas. I love her to death. She's a sweet friend. But she had this posted on a picture on her timeline this morning that said, silence is better than the BS. And I find it rather unique because Christy is one of those people who keeps posting BS stuff. And I really wanted to go, and I actually wrote a comment is you know what I mean? I'm so trying to be silent, but I really want to point fingers. Ladies and gentlemen, when you put that up there, I want you to think about that statement. Silence is better than the BS. You're fighting with one another because you don't know how it feels to be them, and you're doing nothing more but shoving them down, telling them they're wrong, battering and beating on them, and wondering why they're not listening. Anyway, silence is better than the BS. Silently sit back and watch. Silently sit back and watch how people react to what you do and how you say and think things through. Silently watch what goes on, because you can actually see that it's nothing more than two people building emotion into a fight with one another. And they are not really solving anything. I digress. Before you point fingers, take a walk in the other person's shoes. Before you start pointing fingers, this is where I want to go with this, is I want you to stop and think about taking a walk in their shoes. You see, I mentioned earlier the guns. Yes, I am a gun owner. Yes, I have guns. Do you know that I don't carry them with me? I don't carry the guns with me. Why? Because I actually got in a fight one time and I let my emotions control it and I hurt a man very badly because of it. And I'm not saying I'm right and I'm not saying he's right and I'm not saying I'm wrong and he's wrong, all right, but it caused me to harm another human being. I'm not saying that human being wasn't a dirtbag and didn't deserve it. However, he was a human being and I hurt him. I hurt him so bad he couldn't work. And that made me think, I don't need to have a gun with me. All right. And I had to learn because defense. I had to learn to defend myself in other ways. Because when I went to school as a kid, I was beat up a lot. You can imagine this guy being beat up a lot. Yeah, I was beat up a lot. And I couldn't carry a gun to school to protect myself. However, in America today, those people who don't have guns and end up being in a situation like they were, they don't have anything to defend themselves. And that is a shame in America today. And that's why I think more and more we need to learn to take care of one another and stop fighting. Because you're going to find somebody who can't take care of themselves near you. And it is your job, if you've learned how to defend yourself, to take care of them. So before we point our fingers at the law-abiding gun citizens, maybe we ought to think, hey, I'd like to have that law-abiding gun citizen around close by because he's learned how to control his mental issues. He's learned how to control his life. And he's learned how to control shoot. So if somebody opens fire in a restaurant while I'm there, he can probably shoot them for me. Just saying. Again, my thoughts. And then I want to go on to my final statement on this. Before you wreck people's lives and wreck people for what they do, which is going to be my next Tom Petty topic. If you haven't figured that out by now, you wrecked me. I want you to think about the things that I mentioned in here today. Because I'm not doing this, all right, to sit there and tell my friends who don't like gun control or who law-abiding gun citizens that they need to actually listen and talk about gun control. And those people who've never owned a gun, I'm not sitting here trying to tell them they need to go back and forth. What I am saying here is, before we keep judging each other and pointing fingers and fighting online over things that we weren't even involved in, I think the biggest thing we need to do is not passing more laws. Passing a law is not going to stop a criminal. Passing a law is not going to fix a problem. You see, I think what we need to do more is we need to take more responsibility in our homes. Take responsibility for yourself. As I said earlier, I did a video many years ago. It's called, and it was me looking into a mirror talking about this very subject. The problems we have in America today is too often we are pointing the finger at someone else, or we are out trying to help someone else, and we never fixed our own problems. There's an old thing in the Bible that actually talks about the idea of pull the plank out of your own eye before you try to pull a speck out of your neighbor's eye. Or anyway, vice versa. And there's a very big and interesting truth behind that. As too often, many of us are out there right now trying to fix other people's problems, and we have never stopped to fix our own. We're out there trying to slam gun control while we promote abortion. And again, if you're for abortion or against it, I'm sorry. I'm not doing this to broadcast on you, all right? It is. Think about it. Before you ask someone else to stop killing, you need to stop killing. We have people out there who are trying to talk about the Constitution and how the Constitution was written a certain way that helps gun laws. And they seem to weigh the things on their views based on what they view, not on the whole picture. Because those same people who are going, well, the gun laws didn't mean machine guns because machine guns weren't around back then. Well, then freedom of speech wasn't meant for the TV because TV wasn't around back then. You see, it works both ways, ladies and gentlemen. And the whole thing boils down to, we don't know how you feel. You think and feel different than me. And the bottom line in America today is, that is what makes America great. Is that you can have the total opposite opinion of me, and we can live in the same country. And the second that we have to all think the same, do the same, and have laws and set up a government system that tells us how to act, think, and do things, then we will no longer be the America free country that we are. Think about that for a minute. And then stop and think about your fellow man today. I don't care who your fellow man is that you walk by. Stop and think about it. As I walk by the homeless man many times, and when I go over to my Starbucks, and I see him sitting there, I don't know his story. I have a hard time stopping and talking to him because I don't see him getting up to do something. However, another gentleman who was homeless and going through a hard time the other day walked up to me, and I stopped and talked to him for a couple minutes. Didn't give him any money because I don't believe in that. It's my opinion. However, he told me he's trying to find a job. He's told me he was trying to do things to better his life, and he was having a hard time getting someone to even do a job with him. So I gave him some quick tips. I said, dude, go shave. Go get a dress shirt. And go into the interviews with a dress shirt. Clean yourself up a little bit and not let them know that you are homeless and going through a hard time, and see if that helps. You know, the next day when I saw him and handed him a shirt to use, he was shaven. He clean shaven. Guess what? He hasn't been around because he got a job. You know, I realized by stopping and thinking in his shoes for a minute, I was able to help him. Not just, let me throw more money at the homeless guy. No, stop for a minute and find out how I can help my fellow human being. Not judging him, not putting him down, but thinking for a minute about where he is and how he is dealing with the crap in his life right now. And I encourage you to do that today. Go think through the crap that your neighbor is going through before you judgmentally tell them how they need to be a vegetarian because you are. Before you judgmentally tell them they need to allow gun rights because you're a respectable gun owner. Before you judgmentally tell them they need to accept Jesus as Savior because you have. Stop for a minute and put yourself in their shoes. That's what today's message is about. I hope that you take this and you apply this to your life and you do something with it, ladies and gentlemen. So do me a favor, if this impacted you today, I am merely the messenger. All I did was write down a set of notes and go from there about what went through my mind while I was reading this. So it is done. I'll put it into a blog post. I'll put this video over on the blog post. But since we're here on Facebook and you're looking at it here, or if you're watching this on Google, on YouTube, please, in the comments, tell me, what are you going to do to help your fellow man today? I'm Tim Gillette from NotTomPetty.com. I'll see you tomorrow.